Hello, welcome back to the podcast. I I still need an intro and an outro. I don't want that to be the intro. That's kind of cliche. Hi, welcome back to the podcast. Well, before I get started, I just want to point out that I haven't really taken the time to get to know my microphone very well. I just kind of turn it on. And this is the fanciest microphone I've ever had. I'm kind of afraid to break it, so I haven't really played around with it. And I just now noticed there's an echo slider, and if I turn it up, it makes me echoey. I don't see the purpose of it. I mean, that's like a feature you can like make it echoey in like Gold Wave or something. But it's kind of cool that it's built in, you know? But anyway, for this episode, I thought... okay, so I knew in advance that... I try to plan ahead now. Now that I kind of have an idea, like my horror movie episode was just going to be about those three. Freddy, Jason, and Michael Myers. And it turned into like horror in general. And so for this episode... I started thinking along those lines, where I have an idea of what I want to talk about. There was a specific topic I wanted to talk about. But I tried to think, can I stay on that topic? No, I already know I'm going to branch out. And I know what I'm going to branch out to. See, what I want to talk about is the Xbox store. And there's a major issue. I've talked about it on YouTube, and I've complained about it to friends. No one really listens to me, and I want to use the podcast to talk about it, because I had an issue with it tonight, and it just kind of... I was venting it to a friend, and he was just kind of like, oof. And I'm like, no, listen to me, I'm talking. It's serious, kind of, first world problems, yay. And so I was like, hey, I have a platform, I can talk. That no one listens, but hey, at least I can talk and get it out. Actually, I was curious. I know my listen count still says 0 across all platforms that have that feature. So I thought I would try something. I see in like YouTube videos where someone will say like, hey, if you get to this part, comment with cabbage or something. So I guess if you hear this and you contact, if we talk on social media, or if you want to message me on Twitter or something, message me your favorite color, just so I know that people are actually listening. I'm not going to tell anybody that this part's in here. I'm just going to anticipate it? I don't know. Anyway, so I already know that I'm going to branch out from the Xbox store to other consoles and the console wars. And so I figured I would use this episode. I will start with the Xbox store, and I aim to end up on the console war. So, without further ado, let's get started on this. Okay, so my main issue, the thing that I've been venting about for at least 2 years now with the Xbox store, is there is this major issue. I'm actually going to open the Xbox store so I can talk about it while I'm looking at it, or look at it while I'm talking about it. Okay, so there is a cool feature that I like about the Xbox store, and I think it's in most game stores. I know the eShop does this, where if you already own a copy, like, just hang on, let me go to something, deals, go to Xbox game specials. Let me go to, press X to see all. Alright, okay, I'm going to scroll down until I see a game that I own. Mad Max. And Lego Harry Potter Collection. Lego Marvel Superheroes. I own those 3. It says owned, because I own them. They're not installed. But if they were installed, it would say installed, because I own them. Well, if they were on Game Pass and I had them installed, it would still stay installed. But the point is, I own them. It says owned. I don't own Rock Band 4 Rivals bundle, so it tells me the price. So my issue is, alright, let's see. Let's scroll down until I see something. Okay, perfect. I own all 3 Arkham games for the console Arkham games. Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Knight. I own all 3. Here, you see the Arkham collection. It has all 3 games. I didn't buy the 3 games through the bundle. I bought them separately. Actually, no, I take that back, because I bought Return to Arkham, which is it's basically like the remastered port of City and Asylum. But the point is, I own all 3 games. That's what I'm getting at. I own all 3 games for the Xbox One. This Arkham collection contains all 3 games, including those I just bumped the mic. I hope I didn't. Well, I just ruined it by addressing it. Anyway, I own all 3 games. This collection, I did not buy the games through the collection, so it says the price. And if I open this, it would really be helpful if I wasn't on audio. If I can just point the camera and be like, because I technically have done this. I did a video about this. It's still sitting at 0 views. I posted it a year ago. It's still sitting at 0 views. Let's see. Wait until the In This Bundle loads, because it takes forever. I don't like the new Xbox Store, because it takes forever to load anything. Okay, yeah, it's not loading In This Bundle, but I own all 3. But if I were to select buy, even though I own all 3, it has the it just popped up. I have the option to buy Batman Arkham Collection. See if In This Bundle popped up. It did not. Okay. I can still buy this, even though I own all 3 separately. I would own 2 copies of the same games, and it would let me. Alright, let's keep going and look at something else. It's probably a bad example, because those were ports, and you could probably say, oh, it's a different version of the ports, but that's not true. I will use the example that wait. Okay, I felt a sneeze coming. It went away. So the example I gave in the video I posted a year ago was, there's a game called Candleman, I think. Candleman. And then a game called Winja, I think it's called. I bought them both separately. And there's a bundle with both of them. It let me buy them. I am on camera. It showed I owned both games. But it said I didn't own the bundle because I didn't buy them through the bundle. But I owned both games in the bundle. It let me buy the bundle. So I own 2 copies of the same game. It doesn't show as 2 games. I could buy, if both games were in a 3rd collection with a 3rd game that I also own, I would own 3 copies of those 2 games, but it would only show as 1, and it would still charge me. And I have talked about this with other people, and they're just like, well, don't buy games you already own. Well, that's the thing. What if I forgot that I own them? What if I see, oh, look, Arkham games. Oh, I love those games. I played one of them. I don't know if I own them. I'm going to buy them. Or whatever. Just hypothetical situation. There's, at the very least, like hypothetically, say I own Arkham Knight, but I don't own the other 2. And I see that Arkham collection. There should be like a smart system in here, like a smart system. It detects that I own it, so it discounts me the price of that and only charges me for the 2 games that I don't have. Of course, when I tell people that, they're like, you think Microsoft to actually do that? They just want your money. Okay, granted, but they should still do that, because that's a smart thing to do, because it's stupid to charge me multiple times for the same game, and I own multiple copies of the same game. It's really frustrating, as you can tell. I'm kind of passionate about this. I've been talking about it for 2 years. And people just kind of roll their eyes and like, well, just don't buy the... Yeah, stop it. Just let me vent about a first world problem. Alright, so, the way I know that this is going to go into the console wars is because it usually does when I talk about this. Because it usually goes into people saying, well, that's because Xbox sucks. And then I end up having to defend Xbox. Okay, here we go. Just because I have an Xbox doesn't mean I hate PlayStation. And I wish people would understand that. When I talk, everyone talks about the console war. And, technically there's always been the console war. There's Nintendo and Sega and all that. PlayStation came out and Sega lost, and Xbox came on, and but here's the thing. I own an Xbox One S, a Nintendo Switch, and a new Nintendo DS, 3DS. Wow. They have so many versions, I forget which. New Nintendo 3DS XL. And a gaming PC. So basically, I have 4 gaming platforms that I own. And I'm saving for a PlayStation 5. I was going to, because I have an Xbox, I'm thinking, oh, just go ahead and get the Xbox Series X. That's the logical step, just upgrade what I have. But then I was reading into the Series X, and Phil Spencer even said, like, he's not concerned about people actually buying the system. They're more interested in people getting the services, like Game Pass. Because and there's something that was a huge thing to me was most of the games that are coming out for the Series X are going to come out for this Xbox One for at least the next 2 years, according to what I read on their little blog thing, and vice versa. So basically, every game that you're going to have on the Series X is going to be working on the Xbox One. And I already own an Xbox One. So, yeah. The Xbox Series X and the PS5, same price. I was already saving for a Series X, and then a friend pointed it out to me. Why don't you get a PS5? And I'm like, because I don't have a PS5, a PS4. That's why you should get a PS5. Because then I would own a PlayStation. I want every console. Because they all have their exclusives. People say Xbox don't have a lot of exclusives. Okay, fair. They cannot compete with PlayStation when it comes to exclusives. One of my favorite games of all time is on PlayStation 4. Horizon Zero Dawn. That's the first and only game I've ever gotten a Platinum Trophy on. For those who aren't aware, a Platinum Trophy is what you get when you've obtained every trophy in the game. That was not easy to do. And I was a PlayStation fan up until 2016, which I kind of hesitated because I was like, that means that I hate it now. I still like PlayStation. Just because I switched to Xbox doesn't mean I hate PlayStation. I still follow PlayStation. I still have the PlayStation app on my phone, and I still log into my account. And I obviously didn't stay subscribed to Plus, obviously, because there's no point because I don't have it. Of course, I could keep building my library over the years, but I'm not going to do that. So basically, I have to go back to the very beginning, when I was born, up until I was 3 or 4, we had an Atari 2600. I remember the night we stopped having it. it was messing up, so my dad actually took a screwdriver. He turned it over, he unscrewed a couple screws. There was a pop, a little thing of smoke, and it never worked again. And then we got a NES. And I grew up playing an NES, and we had a Super Nintendo, and I basically grew up with each system. For my 8th birthday in '96, my mom bought me a N64. And yeah, so I that's the first console I ever had brand new, like the first time I ever had like a brand new current gen console. I mean, not counting the although the last time I had the current gen console until I bought, okay, so, it kind of gets blurry because like there was a time where I was kind of like just juggling whatever I had. I just kind of cycled through consoles between 2007 and like 2013. It was a random mix of consoles. I mean, I basically didn't even touch a GameCube until 2009 or 10. And it wasn't even mine. I had a PS2. I bought a PS2 in 2008. So I'm thinking while I'm talking, which that's a rare thing for me. And so like I bought a PS2 from a pawn shop in 2008. And I bought a bunch of games, like Devil May Cry, Ratchet and Clank, a whole bunch of games. GTA San Andreas, I loved that game. Then in like 2009, I basically played everything I owned. I couldn't afford to buy new games, and my upstairs neighbor, he had a GameCube, and I was hanging out at his place one day. And we were talking about our game systems, and I'm like, I'm just burned out on PS2. I mean, there's nothing to do on it. I can't afford any new games. And he said, "Oh yeah, I'm burned out on my GameCube. I'm tired of what I've got." And I was like, "Oh, want to switch for a bit?" And he was like, "Hey, that's not a bad idea." So like for like a year, we switched consoles. And I think I said in a previous episode that I was okay. Here's. The Mario episode, very first episode, I said let's put a pin there. Well, let's pull that pin out. Because now I'm coming full circle. He owned a lot of games for the GameCube. It was like 15 of them, I think. One of them was Mario Sunshine, which I liked, but it was not at all what I was expecting, because I grew up playing Mario 64. So Mario 64... that's when I thought of a 3D Mario game. That's what I thought of. And then I popped that game in, and what's this flood thing? Why can't I ground pound? Or like I can ground pound, I can't long jump. That's what I meant. Yeah, like I wanted a long jump. That's how yeah. And then like I didn't like the whole water-based things. It sucked to aim. I didn't really get that far. I literally only got 6 stars, and I remember that specifically. And so like there was a few other games. Wait, hang on. I might have to pause. Yeah, okay, yeah. I had to pause the recording for a few minutes. Oh, one of the unfortunate things about my recording situation, whatever, is it's a great mic. I will not complain about this mic at all. But there is one thing. It picks up my fan. No matter what I do, it picks up my fan. So I have to turn my fan off when I record, and it gets really hot in here, and my phone overheated. So I had to open a window. I'll give it a few minutes to cool down, and here I am. Now, what was I talking about? Unfortunately, I cannot stop the recording to listen back. So, yeah. I think I was talking about... Oh, yeah. Yeah, Mario Sunshine, a bunch of other games. I don't remember all the games there were. I don't think I played all of them, because not all of them were ones that I would like. There was a few sports ones. I don't care about sports. There was a Scooby-Doo game. I loved that game. It's going to sound weird, but I played the Scooby-Doo game a lot more than I played the Mario game. Yeah. But then I got a little tired of that. I was at the pawn shop one day. I used to go there a lot. Either selling stuff or buying stuff. And one day I was looking at their GameCube games, and usually they had a crappy selection. But one day they had The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. I'd never played a Zelda game. This was 2010. It was 10 years ago. Yeah, I had never played a Zelda game in my life. Ever. But I knew about it. I'm not saying like I didn't know a single thing about it. I knew enough about it to be excited. I saw it and I'm like, oh, they have this. So it was like, yeah. So I bought it, I took it home, and yeah, Wind Waker was my first Zelda game, and I immediately fell in love with the series. And now I have played pretty much every Zelda game. In fact, I own two. I've got them right in front of me, kind of. I have a stack of all my Switch games. I have Link's Awakening and Breath of the Wild. But I've also played... Pretty much the only ones I haven't played are the remake, the remastered or the remakes on Wii U. I'm not sure if they're remakes or remasters. They're called remasters, but the Wii U version of Wind Waker looks not only a lot better, but kind of different. Almost like it was a ground-up remake, but they call it a remaster. Maybe it's just that much of a remaster. I don't know. Point is, I've never played... I kind of think that I did. I touched it. A friend of mine had a Wii U, and he's like, here's the gamepad. The only time I've ever touched the Wii U gamepad. And I'm like, what games do you got? You have Wind Waker! And I opened it, and I played it for like 5 minutes. I literally just ran around the opening island. I was too giddy. I didn't actually play it. I just ran around. I was like literally laughing as I did it. My friend was like, "Okay, I think that's too much fun," and he like took it back. Yeah, I've never played that. I've never like actually played it. I've never played Twilight Princess HD at all. And then the Hyrule Warriors, never played any of that. Never played the Four Swords games, but I actually don't care about that. That's like a multiplayer, and I hear a lot of fans don't actually consider that to be canon. Even they're on the timeline, but a lot of fans actually don't consider them canon, from what I hear. And I'm one of them. I don't actually care about the Four Swords games. You heard it right here. And I've even played, because I have a 3DS, like I said, but this isn't my first one. In 2015, I had the old 3DS, the original 3DS, and I played like Spirit Tracks, and there's like all those old games. I even played the Oracle of Seasons and Ages and Minish Cap. I have the Minish Cap on my current 3DS, and that's one of my favorite Zelda games. And a lot of people give me like weird looks, and they're like, "What's?" Okay, it's not my favorite. It's one of my favorites. It's Minish Cap is so underrated. It is such a good game, and so are the Oracle games. The two Oracle games. They're incredible, and a lot of people don't even they don't care. They're like side games that don't matter. It's like the GTA stories, the Vice City and Liberty City stories. Like everyone forgets about them. By the way, those were also good. But point is, it all started because my neighbor let me borrow his GameCube. Had that never happened, I'm not saying I would never have gotten into Zelda, I just wouldn't have gotten into it then. It probably been later on. Heck, actually no. Yeah, that was life-changing. Because in 2013, in 2013 I bought a PS3. No, before that, 2012, I bought a Wii. And I literally only bought the Wii so I can play Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword. You're probably thinking, why don't you just play Twilight Princess on the GameCube? Because we only swapped for a year. I didn't have it at the time. I gave it back to him and then he moved. So, yeah. And a little side note, my mom knew him. And I called her Christmas a couple years ago, and I'm like, "Hey, how's our friend doing?" And she said he passed away. So there's that. But yeah, I didn't have the GameCube anymore, and I knew that it was I didn't want to buy a GameCube just for that. I'm thinking. One of the games he had was Luigi's Mansion. I just remember that because I played Luigi's Mansion, and I did a video where I recorded the Easter egg thing where like he's hanging, the lightning flashes and he's hanging, and I recorded that and I posted it on YouTube. I just randomly remembered that another game that he had that I borrowed, and so I literally only bought the Wii so I can play Skyward Sword, and then I bought all these other games, Galaxy and other games. Did Blob 2. Oh, wow. Yes, that was a surprise. A friend suggested it, and she actually sent me her copy. She wanted me to play it so bad. And I was like, fine, I'll play it. And yeah, I own the Xbox One copy of the first one and the second one. They re-released them on Xbox last year, I think. Last year or the year before, and I bought them. I love them. They're great. Well, the first one not so much. The first time I ever played the first one was when I bought it on Xbox, and it's okay. I don't hate it. I just don't like it. The second one's amazing though. Maybe if I started with the first one I'd like it more. I don't know. But, yeah. So, I had the Wii only because of Zelda. And basically, every time I've bought a Wii... well, actually, yeah, I bought a second Wii in 2016. But that's a different story. Well, no, it's actually part of the same story. I'm getting there. I am getting there. And so, in 2013, I bought a PS3. And the Wii set abandoned because the PS3 was HD. My first HD anything. In fact, I couldn't even play it at first because I still had a fat screen. Yes, I had a fat screen up until 2013. I was playing my Wii and everything on this big, massive, hulking TV. And then my sister was moving, and she's like, I don't need this TV anymore. I can sell it to you for $100. And I'm like, yeah. It was a 42-inch Vizio. And it was my brother-in-law said it was his first flat screen. And it was a great TV. Vizio is it's a really good brand. I've only had to call the customer service one time. I was having like an issue with something, and it turns out it was an issue. It was an error that I was doing. I don't remember what it was, but yeah, like I called the customer service, and they're like, they could have made fun of me. I have had customer service people make fun of me when it's something like that, where it was like something I was doing, and they made fun of me. But Vizio, like they were really understanding. They did make fun of me. I was, but they weren't. But anyway, I got off topic again. That's the name of the podcast. And so I guess I didn't... Okay, this is going to sound weird. I didn't appreciate Nintendo that much back then. As soon as I got the PS3, I pretty much ignored the Wii. it literally collected dust. And then, because I was living in a different state back then, I was living in Texas. And then when I moved to Ohio, where I'm at now, I took the PS3 and I left the Wii. Yeah. So when I came to Ohio, I had the PS3. And I had it until 2017? Yeah. Okay, yeah. So where does Xbox come in? It's because in 2014, I started playing... No, wait, no. In 2015, the beginning of 2015, I have some really good friends. Sometimes they're anonymous, and they won't tell me who they are when they do things. I got a PlayStation Move in the mail one day, anonymously. To this day, I have no idea who it was. Only a few of my friends knew my address, and I asked all of them, and one of them has to have been lying. But again, I can't tell who it was. I am not complaining. I mean, why would I complain about that? I got a PlayStation Move, and there's not a whole lot of games that use it, and the ones that do aren't that great. And I saw Just Dance. So I had GameFly at the time, and I'm like, what the heck? I'll try Just Dance, just for the heck of it. And the newest one at the time is Just Dance 2015. And so I got that one. And yeah, right away, like with Zelda, I fell in love with that one. Like, Just Dance 2015 was a great game. And I used the Move and everything. And then in 2016, by 2016, I had every game up to that point. The first... I had every game except for the first two, because those were Wii exclusives. Which is why I bought my second Wii. Literally, I only bought a second Wii. Well, I didn't have the first Wii anymore because I left it in Texas. So I bought a new Wii off eBay for like $15, literally. That's how much I paid for my first one, actually. Pawn shop, $15. I didn't even go there for that. I went there looking for like a movie or something, and I saw the Wii sitting on the shelf behind the counter, and I was like, "Is that a Wii?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "How much is it?" He looked at the price. He said $15. It was right after the Wii U came out. And I was like, "I'll take it." So, and then I got it on eBay for like the same price, and it worked great. No issues or anything. There was like little scuff marks on the Wiimote, but it's fine. It worked. I got it off eBay. What do you expect? and so I bought. So basically, everything for a while revolved around Just Dance, because I bought every single. It was the physical copy. I have a picture of a stack of games, and it's Just Dance 1 and 2 on the Wii, and then Just Dance 3 and 4, 2014 and 15 and 16, and on the PS3. And I used to watch Just Dance videos all the time, just because I was obsessed with Just Dance. And I noticed something, and I had noticed it, but I tried to ignore it. Every time there was, because I used to hate Xbox. I was on the PlayStation side, and I would always like, oh, Xbox is so stupid. They got this big hulking controller, you can't even hold it. Stupid Xbox. And then I noticed that a lot of these Just Dance videos, they were using an Xbox, and they were using the Kinect, and they weren't holding anything, and they were like doing these like full dance moves, and like sometimes they were failing, sometimes they were winning, or getting the 5 stars, and I was like, wow, that's intense. But then, like, the more I watched that, I realized when I play it on the PlayStation Move or on the Wii, it's only counting my right hand, the one holding the Wiimote or the motion controller on the Move. So, like, one day while I was playing, I just stood still and moved my arm in the motion, and I got 5 stars. And it's just right then, like, that bubble popped. I'm like, oh, this isn't even fun anymore. Like, what's the point? But then I realized, if I got to connect, I would actually have to dance. And it would be fun again. So, I went on eBay, and I found a used Xbox 360 for like $50. And I kept telling my some of my friends were like, "Yo, you're such a traitor. PlayStation all the way." I'm like, I know. PlayStation will always be my main console. This is literally just for one game. And then I got the console, and I was playing around on it, and I went ahead and I subscribed to Xbox Gold, and I think the free game that month was Tron Evolution or something like that. And so, like, because, like, the Kinect actually came separate. It didn't come with the Kinect. I had to buy that separately. And so, like, while I'm waiting on that, I bought the Gold, and I was playing Tron, and like, wow, this game's actually not bad. And then the controller felt comfortable. Like, what happened to that big hulking thing? That was the original Xbox. It's called the Duke. And when I get the Kinect, I hook it up, and because I bought Just Dance 2015, because that's the game that started it all for me. Because I knew all the dances on that game with the Move, and I was getting 5 stars on everything. And the dance routine I had the best score on was Uptown Funk on Just Dance 2016. And I would get 5 stars. I would casually get 5 stars on that one. And I would be like, I get like 12,000 points plus. And then so I bought, when I bought the Kinect, I bought Just Dance 2015 and 16. And 4, because, yeah, those were the ones that were on sale on the thing. And so when those arrived, I popped those in, and I played. One of the first things I did was Uptown Funk. I got kind of cocky. I'm like, well, this is my best routine. I got 1 star. I was like, wow, you really got to dance on this. And all these songs I used to get 5 stars on without really trying, I'm getting 1 stars on. And so I had to work at it. And finally I started getting 5 stars, and it's like, it's a real workout when you play with a Kinect. And I literally started losing weight. And and eventually, like, I started playing on the Xbox more. And to the point where in 2017, when I lost my apartment, I moved in with a friend. I had I saw there was at the pawn shop, there was an Xbox One, original Xbox One, because now there's 3 different versions. The original Xbox One they had for $150. So I sold my Xbox 360 to a coworker for $150, turned around, used that money to buy the Xbox One. And my roommate, I gave him the PS3. So he's not a gamer. I'm still friends with him to this day on Facebook, and we run into each other. He's not a gamer. He used it for YouTube and Netflix, and it's great for that. And I still had the Move, and the Move had a controller, the left-hand controller for the Move. It was a remote, and it worked for that. So he had a remote on a media player, and he used it for YouTube and Netflix and all that, and he never, like, once I gave it to him, it was never used for games again. And, yeah. And then there's a long story that happened after that. Like, I lost everything I owned, and then I moved in with somebody else, and I played, the guy I moved in with, he had a PS4, and that's when I played Horizon, and I played a bunch of other games, but that one was the one that stood out the most. I loved that game. To this day, I found out it's on Steam. It was recently released on Steam, and I'm planning on buying it eventually. I mean, it's not much, but yeah. Kind of backtracking. I said something happened tonight that kind of upset me. They got me talking about all this. I should have talked about it when I was talking about the store. Instead of talking about Batman Arkham, I only mentioned that because that's the game I came across while scrolling. I've been looking to get. I was going to pre-order this, but I thought it didn't come out till November, but I missed the release date. It's Mafia Trilogy. So I already own Mafia 3, a deluxe edition for the digital version on Xbox One, and I owned Mafia 2 backwards compatibility, the Xbox 360 version, and I played that a little bit. I liked both games. I never played or owned the original Mafia. And so they were re-releasing it, and I think the first one is not just a re-release, it's ground up, completely new remake. I think that's what I read somewhere. And then the second one is a full remaster, I think. And I thought, even though Mafia 3 came out on Xbox One, I thought it was kind of like a mini remaster. Like, it just came out, but it was still a couple of years ago, so we kind of touched it up a little bit. That's what I thought it was. Like, it's not the same one. It's just, it's an improved version of the one we just released. That's what I thought. So I bought the trilogy, and I already had Mafia 3 installed, and it started to install again, and I noticed it's the same icon, and I was like, wait a second. And I looked, and all the DLC packs that were installing, they were already installed. It was just updating. So, yeah, I bought the same game twice. And that's when I was telling a friend, it should have discounted the price of that, because it's not like a new version of Mafia 3. It's literally the same one. It has the same icon. It's just updating. It shouldn't have charged me for that. And yeah, that's what led into this. And I digress and forgot where I was at. So, but oh yeah, and then I played a PS4 when I got my tax return in 2019. Yes, I think it's either 18 or 19. Probably 18. I don't know. One or the other. I bought the Xbox One S. I know this is gonna sound really dumb, but even though it wasn't my PS4, but even though I had a PS4 that I could access and play it anytime that I wanted, I missed the Xbox. I was literally depressed because I couldn't play on Xbox. And yeah, I know that's stupid, and I would have people that make fun of me because I would tell my friends that and coworkers, and they were like, it's just a game system. It's literally the same thing you have at home. It's like, no, it's not. It's different. How? It's different. So I bought it, and I finally have the Xbox again. And it's the one I have now. And yeah, in 2015, I bought a original 3DS because I wanted to play Ocarina 3D. And during this time, I actually forgot I owned this. I found a Oh no, I didn't buy. I didn't even buy this. I didn't. She didn't charge me. A friend of mine had. Get this. She had a spare N64, and she asked if I wanted it, and I was like, "That's a I said, "That's a rhetorical question," and she sent it to me. Didn't even charge me. And so I had Ocarina of Time, and I wanted to play the remake. So I bought the 3DS so I can play Ocarina 3D. I didn't realize how hard that was going to be to find. So I played a lot of other games in the meantime, and about 6 months later I finally got Ocarina of Time through Game Pass, through GameFly. Yeah, even though I had it on my queue for like the longest time, and it always says low availability because it's so popular. But I played a lot of other games in the meantime, and when I finally played it, I also played. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, as soon as I beat that, I had a coworker. She would always tell me that every time I pull out the 3DS, she would always go, "Oh, you're so lucky. I can't wait till I can get one." And she was always telling me that, she wished she could afford it. She's, if she had enough, she would totally buy her own. And when I beat Ocarina, in my mind, I was done with it. I didn't need it anymore. It served its purpose. So I gave it to her. She was really happy, as I think you would be. It's like this. Somebody just gave me a game console. Well, yeah, a friend did that to me. She gave me an N64, and then I gave another friend my... It's a cycle of giving. Pass it on. A week later, I regretted that decision. Because there was a lot of games on there. I was so focused on Ocarina, I forgot that there were... I didn't realize that I was growing attached to the console, and there were other games that I was playing regularly that I was going to miss, and I missed playing those. But I didn't want to ask for it back because, well, like I said, she was really happy about it, and I'd feel really, really weird if I was like, "Hey, I know you were really happy and you're really excited about having that, but can I have it back?" So I didn't say anything. I let it go. and that brings me to last year. It was about... I don't even remember. It was about a year ago, I think. It was like November, I think. November or December. I found a new 3DS XL on eBay for $150, which that was a lot to me. I couldn't afford that. I got it anyway. I just barely paid rent that month, but I got my 3DS, and it was better than the one I had before. So I don't do that very often. I was kind of afraid to tell people that I got it because I know people were gonna judge like that. So I waited until the next month. Be like, "Oh, look what I got," and people are like, "Oh, that's so exciting." Because if I had told them like then, they would probably kind of guess that I what I had done, and yeah, took a chance on that, and I've still got it right here. It's dead. I haven't charged it in a while. I don't have a lot of places to charge it. I've used all my outlets and all my USB jacks, but I don't play it much anyway. I did let a friend borrow it. I have a friend, one of my best friends. She because of quarantine and everything, she was upset because she didn't have much to do. Like when she was at work, You know, when she works all the time, and then when she's home, she doesn't have much to do, play on her phone. She has a tablet, but no Wi-Fi, so she couldn't really do anything. So I'll let her borrow the 3DS. And she was like, "Oh, no, I can't take this from you." And I learned from the last time. I said, "Oh, no, I'm not giving it to you. I'm letting you borrow it." And she was like, "Okay, that I can do." So she borrowed it until, like, she was able... I don't know. Her situation... Her situation didn't really change. I think she was just done with what she wanted to do with it. I don't know. I didn't ask. She gave it back one day. She was like... She thanked me and she said it was a lot of fun. And, like... all that. I think she had done everything she wanted to on it. But I got it back. Yay. It wasn't until when I gave my first 3DS away, you know how earlier I said I kind of took Nintendo for granted? I didn't realize, like, I guess how much I needed them, as weird as it sounds. But, like, yeah, when I gave away my first 3DS, and I started to miss it, I realized I have to have some sort of Nintendo console. Because I've always, even though it was never my main console, when I had the Wii or the GameCube or whatever, I always had some sort of Nintendo console. You know, not always, but like usually I have some sort of Nintendo console. And then I didn't have it when I wanted it or when I needed it. And so it's like I was desperate to get some kind of Nintendo console. At one point, I was even willing to get a Wii U. I know how shocking that is. I literally posted on Facebook begging anybody that had a Wii U they didn't want to sell it to me. And nobody responded to that. And I thought, there is no way I'll be able to afford a Switch. That is way too expensive. In fact, I would joke about it. When people say, what do you want? And I'll say, a Nintendo Switch. And that was just like a running joke with me. When I would always say, I want a Nintendo Switch. I know I'm never going to get one. And until the next system comes out and then the price goes down, then I can afford it. So, back in April, when they did the stimulus checks, I was at work when mine hit. And there's an ATM there. And as soon as the stimulus check hit, I went to the ATM and I withdrew May's rent. And then when I got off work, I went to Walmart and I bought 2 weeks worth of groceries. And then when I got home, I went on eBay and I looked. And I didn't just grab the first one I saw. And I researched the heck out of all of them because I don't trust eBay. I was like, at first I went, because while I was at Walmart I looked, they were sold out. And the guy in the electronics department said, you're not going to find a Switch at a retail store because Nintendo's not shipping them anymore right now because of what's going on. And sure enough, I checked Walmart's website, Target, Best Buy, GameStop. None of them were selling them. They were sold out. They had Switch Lites, but I wanted to dock it to the TV. I was not getting a light. I wanted the real thing because I wanted to dock it to the TV. And finally, I found one. It had good reviews. The seller, that's really what I look at. I don't really look at the product so much. I look at the seller first. They'd been on there for like 15 years. They had like 10,000 sales and had like 100% positive feedback. And they were selling a brand new unopened Nintendo Switch. Granted, it was a little higher. No, if you buy one at Walmart or whatever, it's like $300 brand new. They were selling it for like $550. Yeah, screw it, I'll get it. So I bought it. And there wasn't even a bundle. It was just the console itself. And that's the one I have now. And yeah, I will say, even though it was almost twice the price it normally would be, definitely worth it. And over the last few months, the Switch, there was a time when I even did a video when I was talking to people or whatever, I don't even remember. I was talking about like, what's my main console, because I always have a main console, because like I said, Nintendo, it's never my main console. The PlayStation or the Xbox is always my main console. Well, when I did this video, I said I don't really have a main console. I switch between the two, equally. I play the Switch and I play the Xbox, and just sometimes multiple times a day, switch back and forth. Oh, but these updates, Xbox has been doing so many stupid updates. It's like they're trying to turn the Xbox One into the Series X, and the Xbox One isn't designed to handle this. And the updates, the updates that they're doing is really ruining the console, and it makes it not fun to use. Like, half the time, it won't even load. Like, the store, it doesn't work half the time. I gotta get a drink of water. I'm gonna pause it. Okay, yeah, it's a lot better. So, anyway, I don't like the changes they're doing to the Xbox. It's not fun anymore. So, for the first time since 2009, when I swapped consoles with my neighbor, a Nintendo console is my main console. So, yeah. Oh, don't get me wrong, I still use, in fact, I still use the Xbox. I have it open right now. I still have it on the store, on the Xbox. I haven't even touched it. In fact, the game, I mean, that the screen's dimmed, and it's doing the, when your console's idle, let me go back to the dashboard. There we go. Mafia Definitive Edition. Oh, it's done! It's finished installing. Well, the original, the first game is finished installing. Let's see. There's still 10 things that need installed. Oh, because I have updates to other games. Hyperscape, Spiritfarer, and then the rest are Mafia related. But anyway, so, oh, I skipped a thing. Okay, so back in February, when I got my tax return, I wanted a computer. I was like, screw it, I'm tired of this relying entirely on my phone. I want a computer. So I was gonna buy a laptop. I don't like laptops, but they're cheaper. Meh. And a friend of mine, okay, so I've always considered myself to be tech savvy, but I used to be really good at computers and stuff, but I hadn't had a computer in like 5 years. It's changed so much. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm looking for. I was gonna go back to a Dell. I don't even like Dell. It's just cheap. But he was like, no, don't get a Dell. And so I started looking at other ones, and finally I figured I would get a gaming PC, because even if I don't game on the PC, I don't you know how I said I've always hated I used to hate Xbox. I would make fun of them and said, oh, Xbox is stupid, I hate Xbox. And then Xbox, I have an Xbox. I love Xbox. I talk crap about Xbox, but I still love Xbox. And it's like your best friend you poke fun of. And so, yeah, I was the same way with PC gaming. I hated PC gaming. It's like, you have like 1,000 buttons and you only use like 3 of them. And I hated it. Well, I decided to get a PC. I had a PC gaming. I've decided to get a PC gaming. A gaming PC, because by default, typically they have like faster processors and video cards and all that and tech jargon. So like I said, I consider myself to be tech savvy to an extent. Like, I don't know everything. Every time I say that and I start talking about, faster processor, they're like, do you even know what that means? I'm like, I do, but I don't. I can't sit there and have a lecture about it. I can't tell you everything there is, but I know enough for me to get by. You know what I mean? So, like, I brought my friend to Walmart with me, and because I looked on the app, I was like, I knew what I was looking for, and I was like, I walked up to it, I put my hand on it, like, this is what I want, and he was like, that's not a bad one. What about this? And like, we walked over to one, it was $100 more, but like 10,000 times better than what I picked. It was a cyber. Wow, crap! I don't remember. Hang on, let me think of where can I find the. Wait. They sent me something. I don't know. Cyber Power PC or a Power Cyber, one of those. I don't remember. I slept since then. I mean, it's literally right in front of me, but it's in shadow and I can't see it. And it's literally the best computer I've ever had. Before this, the best computer I ever had, before this one, it was a Dell. And there's a site called Will It Run, and it scans your PC and tells you if a game or program will work on your computer. It said Skyrim would easily work, so I spent $70. This was back in 2012, I believe, 2013. So I went to Walmart, I spent $70 on Skyrim. I installed it, I went to go start it. You need a new video card. But it said, it doesn't work. So I went to go take it back to Walmart. They didn't take it back because it was software that had been opened, and nobody would buy it off me because they thought I had used the one-time code. I tried to tell them I never even got to that point, but they didn't believe me. So I just wasted $70. Oh, and the kicker, you probably think, oh, why don't you just save it till you get this computer? The kicker is, it broke as I was moving. I was planning on that. I was going to save it until I got a better computer, but I accidentally set like the leg of a chair on the case, and I heard it shatter, and I'm like, oh. I didn't even have to open it, and I literally never opened it. Like the case, like the leg came down on it, and I heard it. And I picked the chair up, and I picked the case up, and I can hear the pieces moving around, and I started crying. I'm like, I wanted to play this. And I ended up, when I got the PS3, I bought it, and I played it. Between PS3, Xbox 360, Xbox One, PC, and Switch, I have 6 playthroughs that I've done. Oh, and spoiler, this game runs Skyrim. I bought it on Steam, runs perfectly, no issue. This is the best computer I've ever owned. It still has issues, but every computer does. You can have the best computer in the world, it's still going to have issues. But this is the best computer I've ever had. I can actually do things on it. Things load fast. Internet doesn't, because I'm using my phone's hotspot. But like computer stuff, like files and stuff, load right up. It's great. Reason I mention that is because I started, as you can tell by me talking about Steam, I do gaming PC. I do PC gaming. Now I can use that phrase. I have a gaming PC and I PC game. And that leads me to here, to the present. The next gen consoles are about to come out in about a month. Actually, wait, what is today? Today is... oh, it's the 8th. October 8th. Okay, in a month and 2 days, the Xbox Series X comes out. And S. I don't know when the PS5 comes out. Somewhere around there. I know they cost the same. And since I have an Xbox, I thought... oh wait, I think I already said this. I'll just say it again. I'll abridge it. or Bridget, or I don't know, the unabridged version. I think, like I see in books it says the unabridged version. It's one of those things where I just kind of use context clues to figure out what it means. I've never actually looked it up. I'm guessing abridged is like the shortened version anyway. Long story short, basically. Since I have an Xbox, I was just going to upgrade. But since it's basically not worth it because it's the same in a way, in a sense, kind of, same game, just not whatever. I have a Nintendo, I have an Xbox, I don't have a PlayStation. I've actually been looking for a PS4. I mean, not actively. I mean, I'm sure if I were to go on eBay right now, I could find a used PS4 that's affordable. I'm not actively looking for one. If a friend were to be like, I'm selling my PS4 for $100 something, I'll be like, you save it for my next paycheck, because I'm going to buy that off you. But, yeah, I'm saving up for a PS5. That little hesitation when I went, yeah, I was actually thinking while I was doing that. I saw a picture tonight. There's been rumors that the PS5 is massive. And I'm like, how big can it be? It can't be any bigger than the original model of the PS3. And then there was a picture of the PS5 next to somebody, and it was like almost the size of them. So I don't really have the space for that. So I'm thinking right now, I mean, what if I just get a PS4? I mean, when the 5 comes out, the 4 is going to go down in price. So, I don't know. I'll figure it out when the time comes. I don't really need it, so I'm saving up for it. It doesn't come out till November, I think. So, like, I have like a month or so. So, when the time comes, I'll save like $600 and be like, hey, I can afford a PS5. I'm going to spend $100 on a PS4. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, and use the rest of it for December's rent. That sounds really smart. I'm just going to spend it all on the Series X. Because logic. Anyways, how it comes down to the console wars, I just told my entire gaming history. How does this come down to the gaming wars? It's like I made sure to point out over the course of this my hatred for Xbox until I had it, and then my hatred for PC gaming until I had it, and then when I switched to Xbox, I basically literally switched. Right, I'm like, PlayStation sucks, and yeah, like I still had the app and everything. Like I still followed it, but like I still kind of fell into that whole console war mindset that the gaming world tends to have. Is you got to pick a side. You have an Xbox, you're an Xbox fan or whatever, and you're a traitor if you have both. But somehow I'm not a traitor if I have an Xbox and a Switch. Because typically it's Xbox and PlayStation, and Nintendo's off in the corner doing its own thing, so it doesn't count. It's like it's one of the main three, but it's really against PlayStation and Xbox. Nintendo's just kind of there, so it doesn't really count. I have an Xbox, of course I have a Switch. But if I had an Xbox and a PlayStation 4, it's like, what are you doing? What am I doing? I'm gaming. I'm at the point, I don't care what system it's on, I just want a game. I'll get an Ouya. I'll get a Stadia, a Luna when it comes out. I just want a game. I I have games on my phone. If I had a tablet, there would be games on that. I had a tablet. I had a Kindle Fire 7. And the friend I let borrow the 3DS, I gave that to her. Wait, I think that's why she gave back the 3DS. Because I gave her the tablet. Huh, that does make sense now that I think about it. I didn't even think about it until now. I was like, why are you giving me this back? Because she has a tablet now. But yeah, technically there is a console war because they're competition. They have to, they compete with each other and whatever. So, like from a company standpoint, there's a console war where, PlayStation don't want you to get an Xbox, they want you to get a PlayStation. But from like our side, the gamer side, I don't think there should be a war. Like Xbox posted a picture on Twitter. They tweeted out a picture recently, and I loved it. And people criticize them for this, but I like it. There was a picture of the Xbox Series X, the PS5, the Switch, and a PC, and it said like in the middle it says gamers, or well, I don't remember the picture exactly, but that's like the general idea is like just game. It doesn't really matter what console it is. It's if you want every console ever made, you're a gamer. Just game. And so yeah, so I plan on owning every current gen console of the current generation, because I currently have, the only one I don't have is the PlayStation 4, because I have the Xbox One S, the Switch, and the new 3DS XL, and the PC. Well, I mean, not counting Stadia. I don't have the Stadia. I was going to pre-order it, but I tried to hold off and wait and see how the reviews were. All the reviews were negative. But now I'm like, screw it, I want a Stadia. I mean, it's not really a console, it's more of like I was going to say like a concept. They'll send you a controller, and then you can like play on like, I don't really understand what Stadia is. I don't think it's a console. It's a controller, and that's like a subscription, and you connect it to your computer. I don't know, it's weird. I think it might be like a Chrome stick, or Firecast, or well, I just did it. I crisscrossed them. Fire Stick and Chromecast. I think it's like that, where it's like a stick you connect to your TV or computer, and you use the controller and play it. But the point is, you're streaming. I'm not a big fan of streaming games because, well, like I said, I'm using my phone's hotspot to get online. And yeah, it's not the best when it comes to playing online. It's like I could stream Netflix and YouTube and HBO Max and Disney Plus just fine. It buffers a little, but I can't imagine streaming Assassin's Creed Odyssey or Forza 4 or something like that. That if I had like an actual Wi-Fi with like 100 megabytes per second or something, I would consider getting a Stadia. But with my hotspot, no. I'm pretty much caught up on everything. I did detour. It didn't go the way I wanted it to, but it ended up better because it was just going to be me complaining about the Xbox store and then going into the console war and talking about how there shouldn't be a war because I want a game no matter what the console is. But then it turned into me telling my gaming history, which I was planning on doing that anyway. That's why I put a pin in it in the first episode. So, took that pen down. Anyway, I'm going to end this here. How long has this been? Wow, over an hour. Hour and 14 minutes, I think. But anyway, I'm going to end this here. meh. I still need an outro. It's like, maybe my outro is just going to be, this is my outro, or I don't know. This episode is sponsored by Banquet Chicken Nuggets. Okay, no, it's not. I don't know if Banquet sponsors people or podcasts or anything. As I should have ate it before, but it's been sitting here and I can smell it, and it's been teasing me this whole time. I've been obsessed with, one of my coworkers made a huge mistake like a month ago. She made because we have the Banquet chicken nuggets in the freezer section at where I work. 'Cause I work at a convenience store. And she made some on break, and she was like, "Do you want a chicken nugget?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, okay. Of course I do. If I ever say no to food, you know something's wrong." And I tried it, and I've been addicted to them ever since. And when we get more in, actually, it kind of helps the company, I guess, because we would only get 4 in at a time. And I would buy up until this past week, I would buy all 4. We would get them in the truck. I would buy all 4. And then the manager's like, "Didn't I just put some out? Like we don't have anymore." And I was like, "I bought them." And she just she literally laughed and said, "I guess I'll just order more." And so like when I went there today to buy some, there were 7, and I'm not gonna lie, I thought about it, but I decided just to stick with the 4, so I got 4, and left 3 for later this week, because who's gonna buy it? And now that customers know that we have it, they're probably gonna go quick. But the Banquet chicken nuggets, I know this is a complete opposite of what I've been talking about. I've been talking about gaming this whole time. I'm going to end it talking about chicken nuggets. But yeah, they're really cheap. Banquet is it's a really cheap brand, but they're I've never had a Banquet meal that was not good. And I think the best thing they have, at least right now, I'm obsessed with, is the Banquet chicken nuggets. So if I can end this on anything, I want to say, game on whatever platform you want to game on, because it's all good. And buy Banquet chicken nuggets, because they're amazing.